everybody, and welcome to November's Organism of the Month. Plant yourselves down in a comfortable seat and listen while I tell you about an organism that I think is really going to grow on you. The Cape Sundew. As humans, we have a tendency to root for the go-getters, the ones that are determined to rise above their circumstances and make the best of what life has given them. And that would describe Cape Sundews to a T, except for the fact that they don't have legs, so they can't really go get anything. But what they have figured out instead is how to make the best use of the things that come to them. You see, Cape Sundews are native to habitats in South Africa where there's a lot of moisture and not a lot of nitrogen. For example, bogs. And that lack of nitrogen is really important. If you take a look at a grade school diagram of photosynthesis, it'll tell you that it's a process by which plants take sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water and convert it into glucose, which is a fancy word for sugars, and then that's how plants get their energy. And that's true. But what that grade school diagram doesn't show you is that there are molecules like nitrogen and phosphorus that power that process. Without them, photosynthesis isn't going to happen, no matter how much sunlight there is. And that plant is not going to have a very bright future. So in a habitat like a bog where there isn't a ton of nitrogen or phosphorus super available, you end up seeing some really cool ways around that, some really cool adaptations. For example, carnivorous plants. It may sound kind of weird, but it's not actually all that unique. Studies show that plant carnivory has evolved at least 7 times in separate plant families. The Cape Sundew, Drosera capensis, belongs to the Droseraceae family along with other sundews and the Venus flytrap. Drosos is a Greek word that means dew, and looking at the sundew's tentacles, you can see why they may have gotten that name. The ends of the hairs on their leaves really do look like dew. They're actually mucus, and they're deadly if you happen to be an insect or an arthropod. But you are not an insect or an arthropod, you are a human, meaning that you have 4 limbs instead of 6 or 8 or 10 or some other number. So let's put those limbs to use and learn some sign language. Alright, good job. Back to insects and arthropods. So when one of them lands on the leaf of a Cape Sundew, it triggers phytohormones known as jasminides that cause the leaf to curl up and start producing digestive enzymes. They're similar to the digestive enzymes we have in our spit, which is stuff that breaks down our food for us while we're chewing it and makes it all mushy. Fun fact about jasminides, they're usually just a defensive thing that plants use to try to keep insects from munching on them. It's just Cape Sundews happen to believe that offense is the best defense, and they don't believe in misplaced violence. They can tell the difference between an insect landing on them and something else landing on them, for example, a drop of rain. They only react to food, which makes them somewhat similar to most teenagers. But when the insect lands on them, they get stuck in the mucus, and then the plant curls around them and gets slowly dissolved into a puddle of nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and magnesium. And the plant can then absorb and use those nutrients along with the nutrients that the roots are picking up from the soil. All of these cool adaptations make the Cape Sundew a pretty hardy plant, and the colorful mucus drops just make them a pretty plant in general. So they're pretty popular among hobby horticulturalists due to the fact that they have made themselves pretty good at surviving. They have gone a little bit out of plant in New Zealand, where they are listed as an invasive species, but that's not the case in the US. And in their home territory in South Africa, they've been put to work. They've been used in a bunch of different types of traditional medicine. And early settlers also used the plant to produce a form of red ink. So, you know, every day is a red letter day in that case. And today is a red letter day for you. Because now that you've watched this video, you can earn a bio card. All you have to do is find an educator in a green shirt and tell them something cool that you learned from this video. And if you download our monthly coloring page and bring it into the museum, colored, you can enter our monthly coloring contest, you know? Maybe just be the winner. And if November just isn't your month, that's okay. Just come back and try again in December with our next Organism of the Month. See you there!